Recording in progress.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hello,
Hi.
sir.
Yeah, hi, sir. So are we audible, sir?
Yes. You guys are audible.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Sorry, your names again?
She's Shreya and I'm Shore.
Sir
Shreya.
Shri.
Chopra. Chalo, great to meet you guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
nice to meet you, sir.
yes, I think we can get started. Not a problem at all.
So, good afternoon. Welcome to another interesting podcast event. So, the theme of our session is opportunities in electronic industry. So, a small intro about our special guest. So, today our guest is Abrar Ahmed, who is the co-founder of Aura Smart, a smart platform of residential, commercial, and industrial technology that allows us to build, integrate, and personalize experience to a greater value. So he had done a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from Great Institute, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani. So he started his career as a project engineering intern at Larsen and uh, Turbo. So he wanted to create something on his own and was always driven by entrepreneurial zeal. So he's experienced CEO, founder with demonstrated history of working in the consumer electronic. So now, sir, time to ask you about your experience in this industry.
Yeah, perfect.
So yes. So, sir, should we start?
Yes, absolutely. We can get started. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on board your channel. Right, so
Yeah.
it'd be a pleasure to, educate and spread the word as well about our experiences and possibly, have create an ecosystem, create a positive impact with our industry as well. Right. So yes, we can get started.
Yeah. So it's inspiring for us as students of marketing to get to know about you, but we would love to hear about you, about your journey, about your experience, and maybe what helped you to set yourself apart from the crowd.
All right, fair enough. So first and foremost, so we started, I mean, this journey of ours started almost 6 years ago, right? So it was me and my co-founder that started this, right? So I met my co-founder, his name is Ashwini Agarwal. So back in Bits Pilani itself, right? Ashwini Agarwal is from a hardcore residential automation background, right? So just to give you a little bit of a brief about our industry first. So we are in the smart home industry, all right, or the automation space, like you say. I mean, these days you see a lot of marketing ads about Alexa, controlling certain ACs or speakers, so similarly, we are from the same background. We're from the similar industry, I would say, smart home industry it's called, right? And we started this journey almost 6 years ago. So back then Ashwini was working hardcore as a part of this industry itself, right? And he saw some and during while working with his company, he saw some very hardcore issues in the industry, right? One was that, I mean, different smart products cannot be controlled using one single interface or one single app. This was like a very big problem because, I mean, if you come to look at it, in the electronics industry itself, you have so many manufacturers manufacturing many different products, right? Someone's manufacturing lighting, someone's manufacturing TVs, someone's manufacturing, gaming consoles or computers, right? No one's able to manufacture everything, right?
Yes, sir.
So our aim here was to basically create that ecosystem and bring them all together so that customers can control them using one single interface, right? So we started this process a while ago, right? And early days, I mean, early years of our company journey was spent mainly in terms of R&D, right? So the first few years, especially, we spent it all on R&D, as I would say, research and development itself. So because you have to start from scratch, right? Whenever you're solving a problem, whenever you're building, I mean, building a company, or you're building a product, especially, you have to start with the basics, right? You have to get to know your customers very well, right? So unless and until you do that market research, right, and you learn more about your industry, right, your product will not take proper shape, right? That market research is key there. And so once we got to know more about our customers, so based on our early assumptions of our customers, initial assumptions of our customers, we came up with a product, right? We took that into the market, right? We got more feedback from the market, and based on that, we had to reiterate even further, right? They gave us the feedback. The market tells you what they want, right? To be honest, I mean, it's not completely rocket science, So the market tells you what you want. You just have to give them what they want, right? And innovate along the way, right? It is important how you innovate, how you deliver on those expectations as well, right? So around, you can say, almost a year and a half, 2 years went into that R&D process. We launched a beta in the market, right? Got a lot of market feedback as well, especially from certain companies, certain individuals, right, who have helped us along the way. And then eventually we decided to take part in a smart home expo that happened out here in Bangalore itself. So we're completely based out of Bangalore. Our tech team is also based in Bangalore itself. So our main core team is based out of Bangalore itself, and we have operations right now in the GCC and also in Australia as well, right? But early days, we started off from Bangalore itself, right? So we took part in a smart home expo here, and that gave us a lot of exposure to potential customers out here, right? Customers gave us a lot of feedback. They told us what they liked, what they did not like, where we were supposed to improve. For example, some of them were like, I think you could improve the look and feel of the product, right? So we started working in that direction, right? We had to improve the look and feel of the product, come out with some better designs. We had to improve the application as well, right? So and in between, obviously, COVID was also in the picture, so that slowed down a lot of things, right? But that also gave us some breathing space, some time to think, right? And it helped us correct our path. I would say, rather, we were back on track then after that. So again, you could say last year we relaunched ourselves in the market again, right? And this time we changed some of our business models as well. So as part of our business model, what we do is we target, basically, we have two channels mainly, right? So one is we target direct installers and dealers, right? Installers are basically resellers, right? They basically work directly with customers, and they place our products out there with those customers, right? So our product always goes as part of any project. So it's not the only product that the customer takes. Along with our product, the customer purchases many other products as well, right? So that's why it's important that there is someone to it's a complete project, right? So we usually do it through dealers and resellers, right? That is one channel. And the other channel we have is we mainly target the market through designers as well. So interior designers, builders, and architects as well, right? So but of course, I mean, so that was one part. So we relaunched ourselves in the market. We fixed ourselves onto certain business models, right? And then we started growing from there, right? Along the way, we had to listen to our customers, add more features, right? Improve the product experience, because the product is all about the experience, right? About the value it delivers, right? Without value, the customers don't really get that return on investment, right? Customers need to get that return on investment as well. And then eventually, once we started taking off, and then eventually we were able to raise a round of funding as well. So we recently, around a couple of months ago, that was around 5 months ago, in fact, we raised our seed round of funding from Shirate Ventures, right? And from some other angels as well. So and that gave us that also that along with what we were doing, gave us a much needed boost, and we were able to propel ourselves in the market. And yes, I mean, ever since then, we've been expanding ourselves, right? Currently, pan India, at least, we have more than 150 to 200 service partners, right? We've been working directly. We've created an ecosystem of more than 3,500 plus brands and devices, right? And that has been expanding as well. And slowly, and as I've mentioned, in terms of geography as well. So we've expanded. We're currently in India, pan India. We're also in the GCC, and we're also in Australia as well, right? So, I mean, that has been our journey so far, and this journey will keep on going, till we create a legacy, I would say, right? One thing that helped us differentiate from the crowd here was the amount of research which we had done, the amount of experience that we already had in the industry, right? This helped set the tone for what was to come, right? This told us that, okay, fine, this is what the market needs right now. So we took the concept, I mean, based on those early market assumptions, created a POC, and then we went into the market, right? And then based on the market itself, we've been reiterating the product as well. So like I said, market research never stops. Market research is an ongoing process, continuous process, because always consumer behaviors keep changing, right? So, and innovation is key out here, right? So based on what the market needs, you need to innovate as well, right? You need to move in that direction as well. So and innovation need not only be in terms of product, right? Innovation can be in terms of product. It can be in terms of how you distribute in the market as well. How do you give your product to the people, right? So by focusing on these aspects is how we've differentiated ourselves in the market. To be honest, I mean, we are one of the only brands, I mean, homegrown brands that are focusing on our concept, I would say. That is the smart hub concept in the market, right? We're the only ones that are doing it right now, right? And yes, I mean, we have a pretty long way to go, I would say, right? So this is our first product out there, and hopefully we'll kick on from here with many more things in the future. So yeah.
Yes. So, sir, moving on to the next question.
Right.
Do you think innovation on an individual level is accepted by the industry?
Of course, I mean, so in this industry, especially, I mean, innovation is key, right, in any industry, right? And like I mentioned, innovation need not always be limited to the product itself. It could be in terms of product distribution as well. For example, one way in which we are, I'll give you a very simple example. So one way in which we are innovating in this market is that we are sort of creating an ecosystem, right? So, for example, now as of now, customers don't really know in the smart home space. They don't really know who to approach, who to speak to, who do we get in touch with, where do we get our products from, right? Because it is, especially in India, it is still considered to be a niche space, right? Because customers don't really have that kind of technical maturity, I would say, to understand these products and how they work, how they can be implemented as well, right? It's not as easy as buying it off Amazon and then installing it yourself, because there is always that service aspect involved in it as well, right? Service is key to delivering that experience in our industry, right? So that's why what we decided was, since we are creating an ecosystem, why not give people, designers, architects, get access to that ecosystem? We become like the single point of contact wherein customers just reach out to us, and regardless of their needs, we cater to them, right? So essentially, what we've become is we've become like a single point of contact for our customers' technology needs in their homes, you know. So we started off from, we visualized ourselves as being, and now any which ways our industry is a smart home, right? And now we've just changed that frame, to sort of become like a single point of contact for any technology need. I mean, our customers technology needs inside their house, basically innovation can happen at any level, right? It's all about your understanding of the industry, right? So and I feel this will be the tone, right? Because it's a growing market, and innovation will be key, right? Regardless of whether you're doing it individually as a company, or many other companies put together. Because I mean, any industry is defined by the companies that are part of the industry, right? So for example, one company can take the industry to a long way, to be honest. But at the same time, all of the companies should come together, and also they need to set standards for themselves. They need to innovate amongst themselves as well. This is the reason why you see a lot of standards being created. For example, within our industry itself, there are many technology standards, communication protocols and standards that have been created, such as Wi-Fi, there's Z-Wave, there's KNX. These are many different technologies that have been created for different smart products to talk to each other, for example, right? But these were created when different companies came together, right, to set a standard, right?
So, sir,
So yeah,
sir, expanding the second question, actually, we meant by this that in your industry, employees who are not at very great level, maybe at a low
right.
level, so are their opinions are being valued or listened or accepted? I mean, what do you think about it?
Of course. So again, as in any company is all about the team, right? So individuals, as important as individuals are, right? But it all comes down to the entire team. How does the team execute? How do a set of individuals, group of individuals, execute as a whole, right? Because see, again, depending on any one individual, leads to complacency, right? It leads to a single point of failure, right? The thing is, the key to executing is that everyone needs to work with each other, because everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, right? And everyone needs to complement each other. A team pushes itself. A team sets the tone. All right. A team is obviously led by a leader. The leader sets the tone, and the team follows, right? So building a team is a key to innovation, because without a team, uh, how do you come up with different ideas, right? How do you experiment, right? How do you argue against each other? so basically we have this concept that, when two stones rub, that's when a diamond is created, right? That's how diamonds are manufactured, so I mean, it's important that, that in as important as individuals are, the team takes priority, I would say. So that's how we need to look at it, right? And individuals are important, individuals need to contribute, right? But they need to contribute as a team, keeping a common goal in mind, right? Otherwise what happens is, if you focus on just different individuals have different goals, right? And that's not really helpful, right? So it is important that a common goal is set, and individuals jointly contribute to achieving that goal, right?
So, sir, next question. Sir, what do you believe is most important for the industry right now? Is it customer retention or customer conversion or customer delight?
On the face of it, I mean, all of these concepts are, to be honest, very interlinked with each other, right? All of them are dependent on each other as well. For example, now how would I rank them, right? So, for example, now customer conversion comes down to the kind of value that you're trying to generate here, right? So, if a customer feels that, your product gives or delivers value, then you can expect that customer to be converted. But but retention is uh, but retention is clearly defined by, how reliable your product is and the kind of functionality that your product has, right? Because any industry has its own KPIs. For example, in our industry, the main thing that sets companies apart is how reliable a product is, right? And how stable a product is, what sort of functionality does it have, right? So these things are very important in our industry. And if a product cannot deliver on those, then a company cannot, or a brand cannot, expect to retain a customer, right? So customer retention here is, so every industry has its own different, KPIs and factors, I would say. For example, if you look at the e-commerce industry, uh, that industry is sort of defined by, what sort of products are available online, how fast, how smooth or streamlined is your checkout process, for example. So the entire experience defines how many customers come on to use the platform, right? So it's something very similar. Different industries have different KPIs, right? And in our industry, it's mainly reliability and functionality, right? And what I would say is that retention in our industry is mainly driven by delight. It's about the experience that you create as well, right? So and delight, in fact, delight helps you upsell as well. Delight helps you. I mean, it convinces the customer to go for more, from the same brand.
So,
So
sir,
that's
for
where
example,
that's kind of
sir, if any customer switch to some
right.
other company, so what strategy you all use to retain them, like in your company?
So first and foremost, usually we need to find out, we need to find out as to why did the customer switch, right? What went wrong with us that made the customer switch companies and brands, right? So that sort of a process, that sort of feedback channel and feedback process needs to be in place. Once we get that sort of feedback from the customer, right? Then we put it into motion. So how can we solve these customers' problems better, right? How can we over deliver on their expectations? First of all, you have to deliver on their expectations, and at the same time, you have to delight the customer as well, right? Like you mentioned. Right? So it all comes down to, how can we better solve those issues, right? Because I mean, if a customer in our industry, especially if a customer has to leave my product and go to another one, there is a significant barrier involved, because it's a physical product. It's not just a software product which you just install and uninstall, right? It's not an app, right? So it's a proper physical product, right? So if something's gone wrong, if I've lost a customer, then it means that I've messed up in a very bad way. So it's important for me to find out, where did I go wrong, right? What made the customer just ditch my product and instead invest in a new one, right? So these factors are very important, right? And what I believe is, it is possible to regain or retain any customer, right? As long as you're delivering on their expectations, right? It's a Of course, I mean, once you've lost a customer, regaining a customer is a time consuming process, because again, you have to go through that process of proving yourself again, right? But again, it's a part of the journey, right? And that one customer, I mean, making that one customer happy could maybe deliver many more customers, so it's important to look at it in that manner, right? So yeah. That would be my answer.
Okay. So what do you think about building entrepreneur in the innovation industry?
Sorry, I did not exactly catch your question.
What do you think about building entrepreneur in the innovation industry?
Okay, so basically, our so if you're referring to the smart home industry itself, right? So our industry is a very growing industry, right? I mean, it's hardcore consumer tech, right? And the reason why our industry has evolved is purely because of changing consumer behaviors. I mean, and this has been enabled by certain factors. For example, one is stable internet availability, right? The availability, easy availability of smart homes, the smartphones, and the ecosystem of smart products out there. So you're seeing a lot more smart products than you would say a couple of years ago, right? So given all of these factors, it is natural that smart homes is a natural evolution for any home right now, right? So, and smart homes as it is, it's $100 billion market, in fact larger than that, right? And see, at the end of the day, people will need homes, right? So where else will people stay, right? And again, with our dependence or reliance on technology increasing, right? The it is natural that all of the products that we have around you right now will likely be smart products in the future, right? So smart homes is a natural evolution in the way we live, right? In our lifestyle, I would say, right? So and one more way that we can see this in the market is that traditional vendors, especially in the electrical and electronic space, are moving towards manufacturing in the smart home space as well. We have a lot of brands these days that are launching new smart home products as well. And in fact, we've been working closely with a few of them, right? And we see that many people are just changing their strategy, keeping in mind consumer behaviors, and this is purely because of consumer behaviors, right? They're I mean, consumers, they have this curiosity these days, especially because of, I mean, Google and Alexa, I mean, Amazon have done a good job marketing the industry itself, so hats off to that. But and that has influenced consumer perception as well. So consumers these days, they don't just see smart home as something that is available only to the rich or something that's very expensive. These days, consumers have accepted the fact that smart homes can be built on a budget, and they can solve a very key need as well. you know so it does not have to be very fancy. It can solve a very key need as well. For example, these days we see consumers opting for smart products, especially when it comes to security, right? For example, something as simple as a wireless camera counts as a smart product, right? Because we see a lot of consumers, especially families, opting for it so that they can keep an eye on their kids, for example, right? That's a security concern there. We see a lot of consumers going for smart door locks because they want to move away from the traditional lock and key. So they're going for door locks, right? Because they can just open the door from anywhere they want to, right? So with this kind of value being driven by smart products, right? So it is very natural that consumers will eventually get into it as well, right? So it's a growing industry, I would say. There's plenty of scope, right? And it's a massive market. So yes.
Yes, sir. So next question, sir. What are your opinions on creation of and channeling the budgets? Like, for example, if since efficiency comes in handy with optimization, if you optimize anything, efficiency comes along with that. So,
Right.
how would you educate building marketers on this financial skills?
So for example, I'm assuming you're referring to channels out here. So how do we distribute our products, right? If I'm not
Hmm.
wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically it is what I feel is that any company, they go through this process of experimenting with different channels, right? Be it marketing channels, be it sales channels, right? How do you and even innovation channels as well, right? What sort of features do you give priority to? So you give priority to those features which are wanted by the most number of consumers, potential consumers rather, I would say, right? So the same way, it is important for companies to experiment first to start with, right? It's important that they get some clarity when it comes to what sort of channels they want to settle in upon. For example, now early days, now what we were doing is that we were targeting just dealers and resellers, right? But then we realized that dealers and resellers is a slow process, because what happens is any dealer or reseller in our market, they have a customer lifetime value of at least 6 to 7 years with the brands that they promote, right? So they have a set of brands that they promote, that they've been working with for the last 5 6 years. So immediately positioning our brand there with them takes time, right? Because building that belief that your brand works takes time with them, right? So we have to go through that process of experimentation here, wherein we evaluate different channels, right? We look at the results that these different channels give us, and then we fix on strategy, and then you repeat, right? So you take a small sample space, you experiment, you fix a strategy, and then you just repeat it. So for example, now since we realized that dealers and resellers was a slow moving channel for us, right? What we decided was, why don't we target designers and architects, right? Why don't we, because early days also we did target projects through designers and architects as well. But we felt that, it was an execution hassle. There was always a hassle in terms of operations, right? So, and then eventually we realized that, we can target interior designers and architects, but we can execute differently. Operations can be streamlined differently, right? So keeping that in mind, we again decided to experiment there, and that strategy ended up working. This time it helped us grow at a much faster pace, I would say, right? And then we realized that, it is important that we keep our dealer reseller strategy as well, and we can also start building on this designer and architect strategy as well. So and also it is important that a company has multiple channels, right? Multiple channels to distribute their products, right? Because you can't really keep all of your eggs in one basket, right? It's as simple as that, right? Because rebuilding an entire strategy from scratch takes you a very long time, right? So it's important that you have multiple strategies, multiple good strategies. Say if you have like 3 to 4 of, like, say, 5 strategies, it is important that you narrow down upon at least two of them, which will take you ahead, right? And at the same time, on the side, you can keep experimenting, but it is important that the two that you've narrowed down upon are your main channels, I would say, right? So it is important to experiment, and then experiment with a small sample space, and then settle down on one strategy, and then expand and replicate, I would say, that same strategy everywhere.
So there is always something unique in every business.
Right.
Can you share your experience in creating the uniqueness in your organization?
So one thing is that, like I mentioned, our market research never stops, right? We always keep asking our customers, what else do they want? What more do they want, right? Of course, internally we do have a set of ideas that we want to implement, right? But what use are those ideas if they don't deliver any kind of value to our customers, right? So it is important that what we do delivers value to our customers, right? And what we believe is that one uniqueness that we have is that we are a very customer centric organization, right? All companies are, but the way we do things, it's very customer centric, right? And for example, what we've done is like it's so there are companies that do compete with us, right? But they're not based out of India. They're all based out of the US and Europe, right? Now these companies, now they've been doing things a very traditional way, right? Now we realize that there is scope for innovation here. There is scope to flip things and make it completely software based, for example, right? So making things software based means that you can distribute it more easily. It can be manufactured more easily. It can be customers can use it more easily, right? And it can be scaled more easily, right? That's what we realized, and whereas most of the other companies were focusing primarily on hardware, right? Now scaling hardware, building hardware is an expensive process, right? So what we realized that, our market research enabled us to do this, right? So and so as long as you're serving a need, there will always be scope for you to get into the market, right? And one thing that I've learned is that patience is key, right? One thing we've realized is you need to be long enough, you need to be around long enough to see yourself thrive, right? So and you need to be patient, right? You need to you need to be a little frugal as well, especially when you're experimenting early days. You need to be very frugal. You need to make sure that you don't need to take very heavy risks. You need to take risks, obviously, right? I mean,
So when
you are taking complete risk here, right? So you need to take risks, but you need to always think about the long game as well, right?
Sir, when you were doing market research, so sir, on what basis you were segmenting your customer, or like, how, what are the ways you find out to like maybe figure it out that these are my potential customers, like?
Right, understood. So usually when we look at the kind of customers that we approach, okay, we look at what sort of I mean, like I said, one channel that we have is a designer and architect channel, right? So any customer that tends to invest in interiors is a very natural customer for us, right? Because it is clear that they're investing in the house and they want to make their home better, right? So it is very obvious that they're willing to invest in smart homes as well, right? So this is why we realize that that is one very set customer segment, I would say, right? So usually we what do you say, segment our customers on the basis of the kind of products they're looking at, the kind of ticket sizes, ticket value that they're looking at, the kind of homes that they're investing in as well. So depending, so for example, uh, uh, different categories of people, they would invest in different segments of smart products, I would say, right? For example, now a customer that has spent say 3 cr in his house, he's expected to invest more in a smart home, in those smart products, right? And he's expected to have he's expected to go for a little bit more in terms of fancy, I would say, right? More in terms of reliability and functionality as well. He's expected to do more around the house, is what I would say. Whereas a customer who maybe invests less on his home might start off with something much more smaller, on a much smaller scale, right? So this is how we usually segment our customers, right? And this is how we decide who do we target and how, right? So as of now, we've decided to target designers because it gives us a very high conversion rate, especially when we approach their customers, right? So you need to make sure that the audience that you're targeting gives you a very high conversion rate as well. And this is something that we've seen with our strategy, and that's why we stuck with it, right? The same goes with, say, our dealers and resellers. Our dealers and resellers, they anyways work with customers who are building a smart home, right? So that's regardless, right? But when we do it with designers, we realize that majority of their customers prefer a smart home. So why not? Why not work with them, right?
Okay.
And at the same time, there is the general audience out there as well. The ones that keep coming, on a regular basis, right? So it is important that we stay available for them as well, right? But I would say that it's a time consuming process, because again, not everyone is ready to invest in a smart home, right? So that's important.
Okay, sir. Sir, now moving to the last question. What
Yeah.
are the suggestions would you like to give to the young generation to conclude this session with?
So suggestions, so main is opportunities, right? uh, Everyone will have sufficient opportunities to grab, right? And it is important that we grab them. It is important that we take risks along the way. Fear is not an option. Leave fear at the door, at home, because fear does not help you. It does not help where you are or those people around you as well, right? So fear is not good, right? I would say just grab those opportunities, execute, right? See, it's not always important to come up with something different. You don't always have to be different or do something amazing, right? You can just stick to the basics and do them right, right? And also see, uh, what I've noticed is most of the younger generation, they believe that there's a lot of pressure on them to deliver. There's a lot of burden on them, but they don't really have to think that way. They need to make sure that they surround themselves with the right group of people. Someone that they can maybe share that burden with, right? People that they can work with, right? And this will see them grow. And always it is important that the younger generation right now, they need to target, technically speaking, we are also not too far from the younger generation. There's not much of a gap here. But what I'm trying to say is that it is important that the younger generation targets growth and risk taking, right? Because especially this age group here, as in the 20 to 30 timeline, right? It's a very important stage, I would say. This is the stage where you can take the most number of risks, right? Where you can see yourself actually grow, right? Where you can put yourself, where you can experiment, and always what do you say, step back from experimentation. Experimenting is very important, right? Figure out what you want to do, what you like, and then stick to it, right? So it might take a while before you figure out things. It may take you 2 years, or it may take you 5 years, but that's okay. It's all a part of the process. And age is just a number, is what I would say, right? So as and when these opportunities come, just take them and grow. That's what I would say. So, and even if you hit rock bottom, I mean, that's okay. Once you hit rock bottom, all you can do from there is grow. That's all. You can just go up from there. That's all I would like to say, right? So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, sir. So thanks for delivering an excellent session and enlightening us with an enriching experience. As we have come now to the end of today's session, on behalf of Christ University, I extend heartfelt thanks to today's speaker, Mr. Abrar Ahmed, for joining and enriching us with his vast experience. Sir, your words will help us in shaping our careers. I extend profound thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Father Abraham, a guiding light for us in all our endeavors. I thank the university leadership team for extending constant support in upbringing us. I profoundly extend thanks to the Dean, Dr. Jane Matthew, Associate Dean, Head of Department, Head of Specialization, and the Corporate Interface team. Special thanks to Rupesh sir, who has helped to organize the event successfully. Thanks to everyone who has directly or indirectly contributed to conducting such sessions. We look forward to have you again.
Please,
Sir,
thank
I
you.
think your experience will definitely help us in shaping our corporate future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please feel free to stay in touch. I mean, your students can reach out to me anytime, right, for any sort of questions that they may have. Or, I mean, of course, there are plenty of opportunities at Aura as well, right? Wherein if people would like to experiment or be a part of the industry, because it's a booming industry, and we would certainly like to spread the word, right? So we want everyone to be a part of it, because this is the future, to be honest, right? So yeah, there you go. Looking forward to doing more of these sessions, right? So absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.